Welcome back to another edition of Sound the Sirens. I'm your host, Thomas Orness. Last night was quite the emotional roller coaster, to say the least. We're 9-2, which that's all we can remember is we're 9-2 for the first time in an 11 game stretch for the first time in Iowa State history. Can't really complain about much after that. And I know you were watching you too. It was just a different experience and.
Why?
It's like, oh, we need a new defensive coordinator.
It's frustrating.
Put in Rocco's backup, but
I never. Well,
you
I
did
guess
say
I did
that.
say that. I guess I did say that.
But the pick six thing is just he keeps having them, but we keep surviving them without him. Other than one game, I think we had a loss when he had a pick six.
Yeah, and I have a hard time criticizing any of the players on this thing face to face because I understand that they're kids and young men or whatever you want to call them that are just doing the best they can.
And you had a son who was a quarterback too, and
right.
Even like when they kept panning to Rocco's dad, I'm just like, why do they keep doing that?
Yeah, and he could see him; he's biting his lip. I can feel. I mean, I've never had a kid play a Division I quarterback, obviously, but we went to the Humboldt championship game on Saturday, and I just was having these emotions about watching your brother play quarterback in a big game, and if he made a mistake, how it wouldn't be embarrassing to me. I would just feel for him. That's the emotion that you feel, and I'm sure that his dad is feeling.
Just as a brother going to that game my weight felt lifted.
Right, yeah.
So you don't feel like Humboldt, we know more kids than most, but I don't know. I've been away from the town so long that I don't know many kids, and it's weird coming from the outside perspective of watching a quarterback in really tough time, like crunch time, and Rocco has gotten a game-winning drive basically every time he needs to, other than one time against Texas Tech.
But what I feel. I as a fan, I get frustrated, but then as somebody that I can empathize with his dad and him to be for that matter about being in that situation is that he's making it when he makes that mistake, it makes him it's so hard himself. I mean, if you watch him on the sideline when they're kicking that field goal to tie it. He just looks like he was gut wrenched that if they make that what he would feel like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just watching his face. And so I feel for him. I get mad as a fan when the pick six happens, but I also feel for him as a player that he's doing that to himself. You know what I mean? He's creating this problem that he doesn't need to create. I mean, he's got 18 touchdown passes on the year, and he's got 4 pick sixes.
That's crazy, but
I mean, that's way too many.
But,
I mean, and he's got 8 picks on the year. 4 of them are pick sixes. I mean, that's just he's having a trouble with the crossing pattern for some reason. The pick six yesterday was a little bit of a crossing pattern with Jalen, and he threw it behind him, and then he had another one with Carson Brown that he threw behind him, and that's just the throw that he's struggling with right now. And so I get mad as a fan, but I also I feel empathize with him, but he's putting himself in that situation because it just seems to me that he doesn't use a lot of touch when it comes to some of those passes. He is just freaking rocketing those passes, and they're maybe 10 yards, and I think he could have a little more touch, maybe a little more, I hate to compare him to Brock, which everybody wants to do all the time, but, Brock has got great touch when it comes to those passes. Like if you think back to last week when Brock threw that pass to
Kittle?
No, to Christian McCaffrey down the sideline, he threw it up in the air, and it was just like he was trying to drop it in a bucket, and he wasn't just trying to laser it out there. And so that's probably, I'm sure everybody's been telling Brock that knows a hell of a lot more about football than I do. But I just wish he wouldn't put himself in that situation. Unfortunately, he's doing that. And we've played teams that we could survive that with. And if we can beat Kansas State and get into the Big 12 championship, we just can't afford to have those kind of things happen.
Yeah. But without Rocco, we're maybe 2-9. So, because if we don't have all those game-winning drives, all those close games, all those the UCF game, he had 2 pick sixes, and then he took it.
Right.
But
yeah, exactly.
And I think those touch passes might have to do with we really kind of struggled we don't have Carson Hansen in the game. We really struggle with getting like 4 or 6 yards in the first down. When we have to get little chunk yards like that, and when we can't run like ball like that, we have to do short passes like that. And if Rocco can just maybe ease up on the throwing it, and maybe he's just throwing it really fast because he doesn't want to get hit like from getting sacked.
Or he doesn't want to get it picked off. I mean, I think from a mentality standpoint, the faster you get the ball from your hands to their hands, there's less likely. You're probably in your mind, you're probably thinking, well, there's less chance of somebody picking it off. If I put a little touch on it, it's in the air longer.
And they dropped like 3 picks too.
Yeah, I mean, so it's he's probably stressing a little bit. I don't know the kid. I've never talked to him, but he may just trying to get inside of his head a little bit. He might be stressing a little bit, saying, the faster I get it to these guys, the less chance is going to be picked off. Versus the ball being in the air a little too long or throwing it too soft, it might get picked off. But you're just talking about putting Carson in there. I was looking at these stats today, and Carson is averaging 5 yards a carry. Abu's averaging 4.8.
That's crazy. That's just because his long runs are so long, and then the short runs are so short.
Well, and Abu's long on the year is 77. Carson's is 57. And if you look at carries, Carson has 112 carries. Abu has 98. And Carson has 560 yards in the year, and Abu has 466. So Carson's got about 100 yards further, 100 yards more, and he's got 14 more carries. And so, I think that maybe it's situational. That Carson seems like he's got that, figures out a way to get through a hole a little quicker sometimes than Abu does. You know what I mean?
Or he put his momentum forward versus like. I don't know. Abu just needs space, and when he doesn't have space, it's hard for him to push forward. When he doesn't really. I don't know if Carson Hansen has such lower body strength. I think just pushes him forward, and he likes to dive forward. And I think if Abu just can change his playing style a little bit, and he'll just get more yards, and he'll probably
he's
see
such
the
a
field more.
Right. He's such a home run hitter though too.
Yeah.
I mean, he's just so close a couple times yesterday to squirting through there. And you see the kid from Kansas. I mean, when he gets in the second level,
he's gone.
And that's kind of the way Abu is too. I mean, so we need to stay positive with Abu. I know some people don't want to be, but I am. I mean, I think he's not like he's putting the ball on the ground a lot or he's not running the sideline like he used to. It seems like to me. So he's still our home run hitter, and boy, he was our Kansas State killer last year.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
hopefully it can recreate it somehow on next Saturday because it'll be really cold, and I don't know if it'll snow or not, but hopefully.
Yeah, I'm going. I've made the commitment in my head. I looked at the forecast. The low is supposed to be 8 in Ames on Saturday night. Yeah. And I was saying, but I'm thinking, never have had a chance in my lifetime to ever see us win our 10th game. And just got to get on Amazon, go to a hunting store and buy the whatever gear I need to do and figure out a way to get into the stadium and stay alive.
Packer fans have done it for
a
century, so we can.
And the Vikings used to play outside.
Yeah, we can do one game, and I wish I could be there, but I will be in the same place where we won last year. So hopefully we got some good luck there.
I wonder if you can. I was looking, you can buy battery operated space heaters.
You can get like a heated coat or whatever.
Yeah, I know you can do that, but I wonder if you get a little heater that you can put in your area. So rather that I don't know if they because you know what's going to happen Saturday. They're not going to give 2 rips about what you bring in the stadium. Yeah. They want you to come in. You can bring a 12-pack of Busch Light on your back. And they're probably going to let you bring it in Saturday, but it'll be frozen by the middle of the second quarter.
Yeah, I can't believe it's a 6:30 kick again, but it's on prime time and it's a huge game. And but my thinking is, last time we played Kansas State, we obviously dominated them up front, and Abu had a crazy game. But there's a lot of kids on Kansas State, I think, that were already planning where they're going next year before even they're new tied their laces for that game. They're already thinking about the portal. So I wonder how many people's minds are already thinking or getting text or contact about their next team already when they already know they're out of the playoff, they're out of the Big 12 championship contention. So they're looking to go. There's no free agency. I don't think there's any rules against it, or it's not being policed at all. So.
No, it's not being policed. So I don't know. I mean, that's a good question. I mean,
what motivation does a Kansas State player coming into Jack Trice or could be negative wind chill or whatever to play their asses off just to be at Iowa State to go to the Alma Bowl?
Yeah, and the other side of it too is that if you're one of those players and you're on last year's team and you got your butt kicked,
But
that might be a little bit of a chip that you put on your shoulder.
But it only takes like 4 or 5 guys that are not in it to change the game. Because that Obu run, that guy who pushed him and didn't even tackle him. He transferred like the day after.
Oh, he did.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I remember that.
And because it was like
a
weakest,
two-hand touch play.
the weakest tackle attempt ever. And then obviously Will Howard transferred to Ohio State. And
did you see what he did after the Indiana game?
No.
Like that's, I don't know. It looked like he was like putting out a cigarette or something on the
really?
ground, like a thing towards the Indiana sidelines.
Yeah, obviously Kansas State and Iowa State fans have been going after it in basketball and on Twitter and on social media. Obviously makes it heightened, but I think when you get the tailgate lots and the Kansas State fan, we're all the same people. And
oh yeah, there were state schools.
We're too similar, I think, and that's why we like each other.
Yeah, land grant schools, a lot of agriculture out in there. I mean, one of the kids is from Humboldt, is one of the media guys for the Kansas State football team. I mean, so we've got friends, a family in town who's huge Kansas State fans. So
it'll be so nice if we could beat them somehow and just storm the field, tear down both goalposts.
Make sure the game's over. Don't do what Arizona State did yesterday,
and have their coach just absolutely lose his mind. Did you know his wife was right next to him when he's doing that? It's hilarious.
Well, he had the cops standing there too, and then he's yelling at the fans.
Like, get out of here.
Why in the hell did they tear down the goalposts? I mean, they're playing BYU. It wasn't like they're playing.
But they haven't been good in so long.
Yeah, but still.
And then they're just think about TCU. They're like, oh, well, I guess they're a top 5 team, but
yeah.
I'm just saying in their mind, they're trying to get to the playoff, and if they can just sneak in the playoff, or because they were, I think, bottom of the Big 12 in the standings in the preseason, so they've had no
BYU's too. BYU was picked last.
Yeah, and I don't know. I've never really seen a Arizona State stadium that packed before, and they got a lot of excitement. And I would honestly pick them to choose to play in the Big 12 championship game. Over BYU, because I think BYU is a bigger fan base, and I think if we play Arizona State, we can get more fans into the Big 12 championship game.
Is Colorado out then? I mean,
I think so.
If we win, Arizona State wins, it should be us too, right? I mean,
I don't know.
We were talking about before we started. We were talking about the tiebreakers, and and I kind of went back and forth with Michael and a couple of one of his buddies last night, and. The problem is there's 4 teams involved with this. I mean, so let's say hypothetically, we all win this weekend. So the first tiebreaker is head to head, and the only 2 that have played head to head is Arizona State and BYU. Yeah. So does that automatically eliminate BYU?
I have no idea.
I mean,
I don't even want to put any energy to try to figure it out.
So let's say hypothetically it does. So that takes it down to us, Arizona State, and Colorado. And then it's winning a percentage against common opponents. Well, I went through it last night, and we just don't have many common opponents. I mean, we beat Cincinnati. They lost. Arizona State lost to Cincinnati. Colorado beat Baylor, UCF, Cincinnati, Tech, and lost to Kansas, where we lost to Kansas, and we lost to Tech. But we lost to Tech. Colorado beat Tech. So, I mean, I don't know where. It'll be really sad that I'm speaking at school or somebody's going to yell at me and say that I'm wrong, but if we win Saturday and then still don't get in,
we win 10 games, and that's all I care about.
It'd be too bad. I mean, because it comes back to that, everybody that Kansas loss does not look very bad anymore. Kansas is about as hot as they come right now.
But that
Texas Tech game was killer.
So close. But I think, the Big 12 did come out yesterday. If the rest of the teams went out, then they say it's Arizona State versus Iowa State.
Yeah, I don't know. There was supposedly a tweet going around.
Oh, but yeah, I don't know. It's obviously if we win and we win 10 wins, I think our fan base will probably be mad, but we're not gonna be like Florida State mad. Like we were undefeated and we still don't make the college football playoff last year.
Yeah,
and now they're like 1-9 or whatever.
Yeah, and you look at I know everybody's gonna be super pissed when the new college football playoff thing comes out because Alabama got their 3rd loss yesterday, and all they do, if you watch game day, all they were doing is talking about the other 3 conferences, and then they said the one spot that the Big 12 can only get is that the champion, but the ACC and all these other guys are going to get in there. I mean. Boise State, if you look at Boise State's schedule, who in the hell have they played?
Like they beat Wyoming by 4 points.
Yes.
And
not very good.
And if it plays out where they get bye somehow.
Yeah, which I think if it would have ended yesterday, they do get the bye.
Just because they have a Heisman running back, and yeah, it's ridiculous. Yeah, I don't know. It's gonna be a rough time if we're actually gonna be consistently this good in the next 10 years. I think Iowa State fans are going to be so pissed every time.
I think it won't be just us.
Because like there's so many people. There's like obviously the Williams and Bloom podcast has really like warned our fan base about what's gonna happen like months ago, and now that it's gonna come to fruition, where we might win the championship, but Boise State still gets the bye because they're right ahead of us, and we have to go on the road to Georgia or Bama or somewhere SEC school.
So when we talk about, they talk about the Power Four now.
Yeah,
Boise State's not even in one of those conferences. They're in the Mountain West.
It's the highest conference champ.
But they call it so when they talk about a Power Four conference, they're not talking about the Mountain West.
It's not guaranteed though.
Yeah, so I mean, Boise State's schedule is Georgia Southern, Oregon, who they lost 2-3, which is I guess they call it a good loss now.
And like, remember when the Big 12 was trying to sue ESPN?
No, I don't remember that.
When Texas and Oklahoma left, they tried to sue them or whatever over it, and like they probably could have had bad relationships after that, and we're just going to get the brunt of it. Obviously, I don't know. We're 9-2. We're having a great season, but at the same time, we got to look back and from a bigger picture and see that the Big 12 is just not that good.
Well, so you're going to tell me the Boise State's conference is good?
No,
I mean, they playing. But this is Boise State's schedule: Georgia Southern, Oregon, Portland State, Washington State, Utah State, Hawaii, UNLV, San Diego State, Nevada, San Jose State, and Wyoming.
But it's all about. Don't even think about the committee in the playoff as like football. Just think about it as a television product that they want to make commercials, and they have a Heisman running back that they can make commercials about. And it's that simple.
They're probably as sad as anybody yesterday after the Colorado loss, because now they don't have to promote Dion and his kids.
Because in a weird way, imagine if like TCU was in our spot and looking at Boise State, who didn't join the Big 12 and just stayed course, and now they're going to be ranked ahead of TCU, who left their Mountain West to come to the Big 12 to improve their brand. I mean, even though they lost by 70 in the national championship.
But still, they're the runners up.
They beat Michigan, who won the championship the next year.
Yeah.
But no one really thinks about that, because if you think about most of these people that are at ESPN, at Fox, they go to not Big 12 schools. They go to the media colleges, and then they just pump up. It's just the way it's going to be. And we just have to create our own hype, and we're never going to get the recognition, even if we win the damn national title. I don't think we'll get the recognition.
Well, I mean, so the thing that everybody complains about the old boys club when it comes to like bowl games and that kind of stuff, and the college football playoffs turning into that.
It's the same thing.
I mean, Notre Dame, ESPN just pulled up ESPN's new power ranking, says Notre Dame ranked 4th.
They lost to
a really bad Northern Illinois team
at home.
Yeah,
it's like us losing to UNI or North Dakota State and still being ranked 4th. And they also only have 3 true road games. The rest are neutral site games.
Right. And they got Boise State 11th. They've got Arizona State up to 12th now.
And they're not in a conference.
Yeah.
But at the same time, they can never get a bye because they're not in a conference. No matter if they're the first team, if they're the best team in the nation for 15 years in a row, they're still not going to get by.
Yeah.
Because they're not in a conference.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's gonna get messy.
It's gonna be it is gonna get messy. I mean, and you're right though. I mean, Kansas State, these kids that are, think they want to be able to move on to a new team. How mentally with it are they?
Because like
Saturday,
those players are getting,
and how they're going to play in a bowl game.
Like I'm just thinking about it in their mind. They're getting paid X amount here, and they're getting offers from other people right now, and they're already thinking, what am I going to buy with that money that's going to improve my family, or what I'm going to buy with a car? Because if I'm a 19-year-old or 20-year-old, that's what I'm thinking about.
Right.
Like $700,000.
And you probably have some parents that are thinking the same thing.
Yeah. So
you're saying, why would you play in this game or go out and play in 10-degree weather and run the risk of getting hurt? Because that's another conversation. What's our field going to be like?
All right.
I mean, Saturday night, because it's going to be frozen. I mean, it's going to be below freezing overnight for several nights in a row. So it's going to be a frozen turf, and there wasn't very good footing last weekend.
And the coach brought it up in the press conference, and then the announcers just talked about it. It
was a legitimate gripe. I mean, our kids everybody's been slipping on our surface for some reason.
But we want that. If we want to host a playoff game and we're playing Bama, we want that field. We don't want the turf because the turf ends up 80-0.
Yeah.
And we're sad.
I don't know.
Because the Drake game is a great point. That field they're all the same.
Yeah, it was a great, If you don't remember what we're talking about, we're talking about the Drake game that we had to pick up a game. It was like the COVID year. And David Montgomery sat out there on ice skates on Jack Trice in December.
Purdy couldn't even, because his hands were so small, he couldn't even, grip the ball. So Kyle Kemp came back in for, it was a disaster.
Yeah.
And, the TV broadcast was, all blurry, and you couldn't really see anything. Man, but we still got one more win. We were 8 wins that year. That's the only reason why, because the game got canceled earlier in the year, and then we try to get Incarnate Word to come in, and then they canceled on us, and then
they don't want to come up from Texas there.
Then Drake said, "All right, we'll play."
That's what it would have been fun if we got to figure out a way to get a home game in this thing.
Imagine if Brock Purdy lost to Drake more times than he lost in a playoff game.
Yeah,
that's not the Super Bowl.
Yeah, that would have been a bad day.
Purdy's only lost one playoff game truly when he wasn't hurt in the Super Bowl in overtime. Crazy.
So I got another question for you. So if it comes out this week that Colorado is out.
Yep.
So the only way they could get in is if
they're out. Travis Hunter's done. Shedeur Sanders, they're
right. I mean, that's what I'm saying. I mean, how many of their guys are mentally checked out? And honestly, I said this 2 weeks ago. Dion has had a history of following his kids. The Cowboys are not good.
Yeah,
Jerry Jones loves those guys.
That'd be a circus.
That would be so funny.
It'd be a disaster because anything that touches the Dallas Cowboys, it just turns to crap. Even if they're really good that year, they just fall on their face. Anyways, it's not a Cowboys podcast.
Yeah, no. So anyway, so the power rankings, you have Arizona 12th, which means they get the bottom. They're basically saying that they're going to win the Big 12. But then after that, it's got Clemson, Alabama, Ole Miss, still, South Carolina, and then us at 17 on the ESPN power rankings. It just came out this morning.
Yeah, it's going to be the SEC and Big Ten Invitational.
Yep, that's exactly what it is.
And then the MAC school, or this year will be Mountain West with the Boise State, and it's just going to be a joke. I don't know.
So who's Boise State play this week?
In a weird way, would you rather just go back to four?
Four conferences?
4 teams.
4 teams, yeah.
The 14 playoff?
I don't know.
Because they kind of just slapped this 12-team playoff thing together and just kept rolling because they really didn't have much. You think they just, let's start at 8, and then we go to 12, and then we go to 16. We might go 12 to 16 in the next 10 years, and I don't know.
Boise State plays Oregon State this weekend. Oregon State's 500, so.
Imagine being them.
Yeah.
They don't have a conference, or they do have a conference of whatever the Pac-12 is now, but Washington State and them, they're looking at us pretty jealous right now. And
yeah.
With a game to go to the Big 12 championship and against Kansas State this Saturday, man, I wish I could go so bad. But it'll all be nice and warm weather or warm climate with inside.
Yeah, I hope it's a good crowd. I mean, the students are gone, which sucks. I mean, it's the Thanksgiving break, and I'm sure some of the diehards in the Des Moines area are going to come back and go to the game, but it's not going to be like it would be if it was during school. So we're going to obviously have some empty seats, I'm guessing. I mean, I'd be shocked if it was sold out, unfortunately. But
it's not going to be sold out.
But that's just the way it is.
It's just the weather, and we just, I don't know. Do we make our stadium too big?
Well, I mean, that's when I was at the Cincinnati game, I heard some people complaining about, up in the upper corners, it was a little empty. I said, well, if we didn't expand the stadium, it's full.
Yeah.
It's 51,000, whatever it was, or 55,000.
But the way it was before was an eyesore. It looked like a high school stadium.
Yeah.
4 hills, and the wind was horrible.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
That's the other game changer. What if Saturday night is windy?
Yeah, but the Bolden end zone, makes it a little less.
little more tolerable, but it's still that when we were sitting in the lower bowl, the wind was still whipping down the stairs. So
Like, I hate to even bring this up. Like, when we played Missouri at home, we had a chance to go to the Big 12 championship. I think there was like 30,000 people there. It was windy as hell, and we just choked it down or pissed it down our leg.
yeah,
But I just hope that doesn't happen to us again.
I don't know either.
We have a way different program, better coaches, and Kansas State and Iowa State really don't like each other, and I think it's gonna be a great game. And I can't wait to watch it. And hopefully it's not. Do we want Tim Brando and run it back? Just go Tim Brando. Obviously you'll be there, so you don't care.
Yeah,
So I'll get Tim Brando back there and keep the winning streak alive on Fox. That's where I don't know. I love Gus Johnson, but I feel like we never.
yeah, he was a little over the top yesterday when we were watching him. But
Really
yeah,
He said my favorite thing. He says running away from the cop speed.
oh jeez,
He said that. Wow.
you and I couldn't say that.
No,
and
we
get away with it.
But he did, and it was a good call.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll get there for the announcers. It'll be fun regardless.
Yeah, I think our announcers were struggling yesterday.
Oh boy, yeah, they were really struggling. They were
chemistry.
Contradicting each other all the time.
They have no chemistry.
No,
they were just like reading a book, just like say the most basic football things ever, and just
Chris Myers. He's lost the step with Fox. He used to be really good, but yeah, he was not good yesterday.
like Higgins scored a touchdown. I was like, oh, you didn't catch that. Remember that?
Right? Yeah,
like,
he was
what?
talking about completing the catch. I said, yeah, that was bizarre.
And then they bring in the interview or the instant replay guy, and they said that was the wrong guy. I was like, oh, it's
Oh, what about the beginning of the game when they
Yes.
kept showing Matt Campbell and it was some random assistant? They did it twice.
they did the whole first quarter.
They didn't. Not only was it not Matt, it was an African American coach.
I don't know
that
who
they
it
were
was.
showing.
Yeah,
Oh my
I
god!
don't know who it is, but
I don't know either.
He's got a lot more exposure now.
Yeah, they probably got a kick out of that. Was so weird.
Imagine
oh my
being
God.
like his family, like Matt Campbell. It's just him. It's like, oh my gosh.
Then we're all just making fun of him because then at the end, the third time they finally show Matt Campbell. Hey, they found him finally.
It's like one walkie-talkie thing. Hey, buddy, wrong guy.
Did it twice. Yeah, that was funny.
Yeah. It was kind of a weird game. Like they're up. I don't know. It was like 21-14 after they just scored after the block punt or whatever, or they.
Yeah, we're up 11 when they blocked the punt.
And I looked and they had like 25 yards rushing. I'm like, are we gonna lose? And like our defense, going into the game, our defense was like, oh, we need it's our defense of the people that step up, and they did.
They did. They played well until that one drive where they just let the guy with the rat tail, the fourth-string quarterback, march down the field.
Yeah, but thinking of the defense is you practiced for Wilson, and then he gets hurt, and then this guy you have no tape on comes in. And
but it's not like this kid's never played football before. I mean, he's a fifth-year senior or whatever, so it was just, our defensive end bit really hard in that one long run that he had, and we're not getting, when we are in a prevent trying to, keep it from getting a first down, we rush three. We cannot get pressure at all.
They get 25 yards
every time. I mean, and we did blitz a couple times, towards the end last night, which was refreshing. But I'm tired of listening to the injury thing with the defense now, because we have Jack Sadowski starting at middle linebacker. Started every game last year.
Looks healthy.
Cooper Ebel is playing, and Will McLaughlin. So I mean, we've got got some guys back on the linebacker core. Our secondary is for the most part completely healthy. We're down J.R. Singleton.
Verdon.
Verdon is
with
playing.
a broken arm, and Bo Freeler with one shoulder, if you consider that healthy.
Well, I mean, it's also we're going to get.
Porter's been hurt all year, too.
Yeah.
And Purchase really didn't do much yesterday because they didn't really throw his way.
No.
But, yeah, and just like you could tell the difference of when we didn't have Verdon in there, Will McLaughlin and Porter and Dom Orange. That's why our defense was just getting absolutely murdered.
Yeah, I think we've underestimated the importance of Will McLaughlin. I mean,
he just came in and gave a fresher breath air for all those young
breath of fresh air
for those guys, because he started every game last year and has the experience and knows exactly where to be. If he has a mistake, it's good to be where you're supposed to be rather than just completely off course, which that's what some of the backups have been doing, but they're young and walk on, so he can't really
Yeah.
Because which I think the Island Barnes and Goodwin are gonna that experience might just
sure.
elevate them to being Cyclone greats. Because having this great of a year and they're like a huge part of it, they're gonna go into off season and just I'd love to see how jacked and like how much more muscle they put on next year and really take it. But I hope Barnes is not a scholarship player, is he?
Barnes is walk on, no.
Yeah, I thought
No.
hopefully he
Bo Goodwin is a scholarship player.
yeah, we need to get Barnes a scholarship and just because if we can have Barnes, Bacon back, Will McLaughlin.
That's the other one. What if Bacon all of a sudden makes an appearance this weekend? I mean, I haven't heard anything. I know I haven't. I've tried to find out something about Brzezina and Singleton. Singleton, it was an upper body injury, which Campbell being Campbell, we have no idea what the hell happened. But he was not in a sling. He was not on crutches on the sideline Saturday, so he looked pretty good. I mean, so if he didn't have something holding his arm against his side, he was high fiving everybody and pretty into the game. Bramer was not on crutches Saturday.
Yeah, I think Bramer's out for the year.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's all coach speak. That's why they need to do an injury report. If they're going to be professional athletes, where they are, and getting paid from the school next year, they have to make that change. Because betting wise, I don't bet, but betting wise, I can't imagine if you make a huge wager and then you realize, Ray Lima's not playing today.
Right.
But anyways, it's great time to be an Iowa State fan.
Yeah, okay. I mean, I don't want to sound negative, but I think we've all seen the potential of this team. Unfortunately, injury bug got us a little earlier in the Texas Tech game. I wish we could have figured out a way to sneak that out. The Kansas game, we were just, we were really struggled to be in that game, and obviously Kansas is proving that they're woken up and they're good. They're a good team. So
probably the best.
I kind of set that loss aside because the Kansas just flat out beat us.
One of the best. They have some of the best skill positions in the whole country right now, playing wise. Like their quarterback and that receiver is so good. Who just torched us. And our defense really made us look confident for our defense playing as good as they did yesterday makes me more confident about a Kansas State game.
Sure. Yeah.
The way I watched the Kansas State highlights yesterday or right before this podcast, and they got runners. They got a good running back. They got a running back, a quarterback too.
Yeah.
And
that's what scares me is that I don't think we're since we're not getting a ton of sacks or a lot of hurries. Rushing those three is that even when we do get to Kansas State quarterback, are we going to be able to get him on the ground? I mean, because he's dangerous when he starts running.
Might slip and fall himself.
Yeah, it might be. I mean, that is I think that's going to be the X factor is that field Saturday. I mean,
because he has to start in shotgun and he has to put his footing to go forward. And I don't know, he's a really good player. He obviously was looking to be in the Heisman list before the season, and I don't know. I think the portal thing is bigger than people think. That kids are thinking,
sure,
out the door already. The door's already open, and they see the next school and a pile of money.
Think of all the teams that are just way out of it heading into this weekend, like the Cincinnati's, the Utah. I mean,
Oklahoma State.
Oklahoma State. I mean, Utah's coach basically said in his press conference last week that they have a shopping list for the portal, and they've figured out how much money they're going to allocate for each position group.
So crazy.
And I listened to the Utah podcast last week, and it was really interesting because they said at the end they were just pretty much had written the season off, and they're wondering whether their coach is going to just ride off into the sunset because he's been doing it for 20 years. But if Utah would have scored 24 points a game this year, they would have been 8-2 heading into our game.
Yeah.
And if they would have had the average offensive output for the Big 12, they would have won the Big 12.
It
because their defense is
shows you
kept them in games.
How important the quarterback position is, and we have a great quarterback.
Yep, that's right.
No matter how much we hate his pick sixes and hate the throwing 100 miles per hour to a 2-yard slant, we'll take it every time.
But think about those pick sixes. That's 4 plays.
Yep.
Worth 24 points.
And we won. There's one game where we had 2 of them. We won that game still.
Yeah, but that's 4 plays. But those 2 plays made that game more interesting than it should have been. Yeah. Our special teams yesterday made that game more interesting than it should have been.
Horrible.
I mean, Jalen made that's the first time I've seen him do that all year, right?
Like,
I mean,
missed field goal, muff punt,
block punt.
Did we kick out of bounds once? Or that was a humble game.
Yeah, that you get him too much football in 24 hours.
Yeah.
And can we talk about, maybe I'm too old for this anymore, but going shotgun inside the 1 or at the 1. I just don't get.
But the next play we went under center.
But why not just go under center 3 times in a row and man up and just go man on man and say, you're going to have to stop us one with the other. I don't get it. I mean, I never will get it.
I just don't think I know that our coaching staff wants Rocco to run a little bit, but I know there's like a limit. We're like, okay, you're not running anymore. Because if he gets hurt,
then put Carson Hansen under center. I mean, put it like the.
I think Carson Hansen's not on limited snaps too, because he should be playing damn near every down.
He's not. Yeah, he's got to be on a pitch count too. I mean, but I'm not talking about just us. I mean, I've watched high school games where teams are going in shotgun when they're inside the 2
because they
just don't
during
get it.
Practice they are doing shotgun 97% of the time,
right?
And they don't want a pressure situation. Fumble the snap.
But
that's probably what I think.
I get that. I mean, but I understand. But I played high school center, and I understand a little bit of how that works.
How much shotgun did you do back then?
We did shotgun.
You did?
I mean, yeah. I mean, and I remember when I was a sophomore trying to play varsity center, that was really struggling with the whole shotgun snap thing. But I think that's a cop out. I think the whole worrying about fumbling the center exchange is a total cop out. I mean, and you don't have to agree with me. Nobody has to agree with me. Nobody's asking my opinion, but I'm just telling you, just drives me absolutely insane when we're playing a very physical sport, and when you get rewarded by pushing another guy out of the way, and you get to the point where you're 1 yard away from 6 points, and you want to throw the ball backwards 4 yards first before you try to go forward that 1 yard.
Yeah,
it doesn't make any sense to me.
Well,
never has.
We've changed though. We used to be completely never under center.
Right.
Now we've saw the light and have done it more times, but we've gotten stuff too.
But not. And when was the last time we did a quarterback sneak 2 times in a row?
Right. Like I would
never.
I would do it with Peters all the time.
I would do quarterback sneak from the 50.
All right.
I mean, we never do it. We never do it 2 times in a row, and we never do it on first down. Yep. It's always like when we get to second or third or fourth down. So that's just my opinion. All right. Well, we got to beat the Wildcats on Saturday. That will be a fun day. That'll make the cold weather worth the time.
Gosh, if there was Cytown there right after that,
boy,
that would have been
kill it.
I know, because
I remember when I was telling you the story before we went on that when we lived in Ankeny, we had season tickets, and I don't remember what year it was. It must have been like 2001. 2000, something like that, and we weren't great. And I went to the last game of the season against Kansas State, and it was
UConn.
I'm sorry,
wasn't it UConn?
No, I think it was. I'm pretty sure it was Kansas State. It was the last game of the season. It was super cold.
Wasn't there a great year we had like this year, but we just completely fell off the face of the planet?
That was Seneca's last year, I believe.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
and we got beat by UConn. Yeah, but everybody's sitting in their vans or their cars tailgating because it's so cold outside. And then you can see the clock from the front, that parking lot right across the street from the stadium to the north. You can't see that really very well anymore. And when it got to be like 5 minutes left in the clock before the game starts, all these doors open and everybody goes running into the stadium. And there wasn't a great crowd that day, but it was the diehards that were. It wasn't like we were playing for a bowl game or anything like that, from what I remember,
or a Big 12 championship
or anything like that. Right. So this is a much bigger game, much more important game. So if you can suck it up and get there.
Because if we host a playoff, it's going to be like this.
Right. We're not going to host this year.
I'm saying if we could, I don't know if we can. I don't know how it works.
I don't think if we get in the playoffs, we'd be the 12th seed.
Like I just see, which
means we're going to Ohio State.
Like I don't really look into like the flipping play at the rankings anymore because like I don't want to be mad. I don't want to like hate college football. And I just think that's what they're trying to make us do, is like think that we have no shot, and we're Iowa State. You're in the Big 12. We used to think was great for Texas, who we beat Texas like regularly for almost a decade.
And we played with them last year too, right?
Right.
I mean, yeah.
A couple of plays go wrong, we could have beat them that year, and they played in the national championship against Washington, or they played in the semis to playoff last year because they won the Big 12 title for the first time since 2009, I think. Which they just make it sound like they were running the Big 12 when they weren't.
No, they weren't. No,
they were terrible
for
a long time, and then they finally got a good coach and a good quarterback. And
are we getting a little satisfaction out of watching Oklahoma struggle?
I mean, they beat Bama yesterday.
Yeah, I know that, but they're still.
They stormed the field. Did you see the coaches?
I saw that. Yeah,
I don't think they're struggling right now.
I don't know. I mean,
before the game yesterday,
they're in the middle of the road with the
I'm saying before yesterday, if you said that statement, yes. But
Okay.
if you beat Bama, you're having a good day today.
No, that's right. Yeah. I was going back. I was trying to look at the schedule from last year just to refresh my memory. So we played.
We lost to Ohio, but when we made
got
field,
housed by Oklahoma. We
lost to Kansas.
Lost to Texas by 10 last
Lost
year.
to Kansas. Jalen Noel stepped out allegedly. Should have got the ball at the 1 yard line.
Oh
and
yeah, that's right.
Scored and
Yeah. Well,
summertime sadness.
I'm hoping we might be able to get one more podcast in this week because I'm trying to get a special guest. Has got a he just texted me back, said he would come on. So we're going to try to figure out a way to get a Kansas State connection onto the podcast. So we'll stay tuned. So do you want to talk? Are we done talking about football? You want to talk about the Maui Classic a little bit?
Yeah, we got top 5 basketball team we can talk about too. We got a team we're gonna maybe go to the Big 12 championship. Maybe shipped over to their top 5 basketball school. Obviously, our women had a rough game against UNI, but
that was a bizarre game. I was watching it. We're up 9. The announcer say UNI needs to get this under control. They're gonna get away from them. And then all of a sudden we're down 9.
Yeah, it sounds like
never recovered.
Sounds like the Johnny Orr Michigan game where it's a JV versus the varsity.
Yeah,
right. What now?
Yeah.
But yeah, we play Auburn against who's their Bruce Pearl is his name, right?
Yeah, Bruce Pearl. He got an Iowa connection.
I don't want to say he's a great coach.
Yeah,
great
he is
coach.
good. Yeah, great recruiter.
One guy I do not want to see ever step foot in Iowa City as a coach.
Bruce Pearl. I think it's pretty safe to say that will not happen.
Why? Because
I think he burned a lot of bridges with.
Well,
Iowa
I'm just
City.
saying if he could succeed there.
Yeah,
but
he could because he's a great recruiter. But it still doesn't make sense. Why is this game on ESPNU?
That's
the top five game in the country, and it's a 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock tip on Monday night tomorrow night
I swear
on
to God,
ESPNU.
If Chris Pasola or whatever his name is are announcing. So annoying.
Yeah, so we got the Fighting Tyrese Hunters playing UConn. Memphis plays UConn. Colorado plays Michigan State. We play Auburn, and then Dayton plays North Carolina. So if we win against Auburn, then we're probably playing North Carolina. And if we win that, we possibly see UConn in the championship on Wednesday. We go the opposite direction. We would play.
Give me Memphis or Michigan State. Michigan State would be awesome.
State.
Michigan State, Maui for the championship game would be awesome.
Yeah, I know nothing about. Well, they've got Jason Richardson's kid. Jason Richardson played against us in the Auburn Hills game. Yeah. So his kid's playing for Michigan State now.
I would love that game. I would love if they could do a home and home Michigan State. Like 1 year we played Hilton, the next year we play Michigan State. That would be incredible. Like
we've done a pretty good job of recruiting Michigan, so I'm not sure that they want us. And I mean, that's true. That's why I'm surprised Marquette's playing us.
Like Monte Morris.
We're kind of hammering the Wisconsin recruiting right now, so I'm kind of surprised that Marquette wants to go home and home with us.
It's a home and home?
I'm pretty sure it is.
Hope so.
Maybe I could be wrong. I mean,
I know
they've been wrong many times.
They played in the same arena Tyrese Hunter beat Wisconsin in.
Yeah.
Which it's just like crazy. Like I still think most Iowa State fans just buried Tyrese Hunter. Like I think he came to Iowa State, no business coming to Iowa State.
Yeah.
We won 0 conference games. He came to Iowa State, took us to the Sweet 16, and then got paid.
He got sold a bill of goods going to Texas.
But he got paid.
Yeah, he did.
Unless, I mean, I'm not saying
for his overall career, was it the right move? No way.
Probably not, no.
He's not developed at all.
But in Iowa State's standpoint, we're glad he left because Lipsy came in. I'm not saying he's a better just like as for the program, just as like he's an Ames kid running the program, grew up an Iowa State fan. He's not leaving no matter what.
Yeah.
I mean, knock on wood, right?
Well, we would. I mean, so hypothetically, if Tyrese Hunter stays, we still get Taman. We probably don't have Keyshawn.
We probably redshirt Taman, maybe even.
Yeah.
Which how many times we said that? We're gonna redshirt Tyrese Hunter or Halliburton. We're gonna redshirt Monte Morris. But
yeah, no, it should be fun. I mean, it's obviously a big step up in competition compared to what we played so far. But I think Neugis has shown that he's sniffing the rotation. I mean,
he's not scared at all.
He's not scared at all. He looks like he belongs. Deshaun is obviously a man. He's the big dude, and we got some other help for him coming off, so he doesn't have to be the only guy. If he gets in foul trouble, Chatfield can come in and help him out. So, it'll be interesting. It'll be a really good test. But it's, going to Maui, it's a long ways to get there. You're going to Hawaii. I guarantee you half those kids or more than half have never been to Hawaii before.
Yeah, I doubt anyone's has.
And so then you're trying to get them focused to play a basketball game, and that works both ways. I mean, Auburn's got to do the same thing, but you're trying to get them focused to play a basketball game in a gym that's about the size, it's probably smaller than UNI's stadium.
Even if the worst case scenario happens, we lose all games. We're not even going to remember this.
No.
In
Well,
3 months,
because
we
think
play
the odds of that happening are zero.
We play damn near a Maui tournament every week in Big 12.
Yeah.
Like going from Baylor to Kansas to Houston to Arizona to at BYU is a crazy game.
Yeah, it always is.
Like one of the schools that's kind of sad that's kind of fallen the face of the planet since my childhood is Okie State basketball.
Yeah,
they used to be incredible. Like it used to when we played at Okie State, there's no way we're running.
I think when they changed their stadium, they added seats and put an upper deck in it,
and they got worse.
Yes, and so when they had that lower ceiling, it was a lot harder place to play. And I think that was a mistake. It was a money grab. Rather than building a new stadium, they just expanded. It's kind of like Notre Dame. Notre Dame did something similar to that with their football stadium when they added seats. And, and I think it's, I don't think they've ever been the same since. I mean, so, yeah, the Big 12 is a juggernaut.
Like basketball, what do you want to get out of this tournament? Like, don't take away wins or losses. Like, what do we need as a program to, like, show that? I think we just need to show that we're legit. Like,
yeah,
obviously last year we should have got the 1 seed. Like if our name is Kansas, we get the 1 seed.
Yeah.
So this is a great time. Obviously on frickin' ESPNU. I didn't really realize that. ESPNU at 8:00.
Yep.
We'll show them then.
Right.
ESPNU. That's terrible.
Yeah. So then, but the rest of the games are on the big ESPN, and ESPN2. Except if we lose to Auburn, then we're playing ESPNU again.
Might as well just put it on MC22 at that point.
MC22 and have Larry Morgan doing the broadcast.
Right.
Somebody must have heard you complaining about him because he hasn't done the last 2 games.
Yeah, I'm the one that did it.
I'm sure
right?
it is. Yeah,
I have that much power.
You do.
Right. Good Lord. But he'll probably be back. He'll probably do the rest of the season.
Oh, I like Larry Morgan.
But it's just like we're top 5, and like we had Gary Thompson and who was Dave Armstrong, who R.I.P.
Wow,
he was
so great.
great.
Say that all the time.
Like then John Walters and Gary Thompson.
Yeah,
like we had that when we were
Keith Murphy used to do them.
Yeah, he could do it. Like I'd rather have Chris Hassel or Keith Murphy do it.
Yeah, Keith Murphy was good. I mean, I remember he was the old Milwaukee like quick stat guy for a while when they put that up, and then John Walters came in. And
do you just think there's not as much young talent who are thirsting for that opportunity, or they're just giving it to the guys that don't probably get paid anything?
Well, I mean, it wasn't a BJ Shaban that was doing the games this week from the ESPN. He's done
MC22.
He's an Ames guy, I believe. I mean, so
he did the Baylor game with Royce White, his last game at Hilton.
Yeah, Gary Thompson was fun, but he doesn't want to do it anymore, obviously. But
yeah, he's pretty old.
Yeah, he's still there.
Still has a jersey. Still has a jersey hanging in Hilton.
Yeah.
And did he play baseball too, or is that?
I think you asked me that one other time. I think he did. I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah, I know.
Played against Will Chamberlain.
I know Lefty Moore played basketball and baseball too.
Played. Lefty was in college.
Imagine if like Rocco just played pitcher in the off season.
Well, we were talking about this yesterday. Everybody makes this big deal about. I was talking about that with Will yesterday, but this big deal about not Tyrese Hunter. Jeez, why am I losing his name? The kid plays for Colorado.
Travis Hunter.
That he's makes this big deal about him playing both ways. I mean, how many kids could play both ways? I mean, that aren't. He's a Heisman Trophy caliber player, but there's a lot of kids that are not Heisman Trophy players that would be adequate, if not really good, D-backs or wide receivers.
Like, do you think Dom Orange could play left tackle or left guard?
Yes, and I think Darren Porter showed that he was a wide receiver for a long time, so he could. If we got in the situation we didn't have any receivers left, he could play receiver. Yeah, and go both ways. I just don't think. I think when you play that many snaps, you're really exposing yourself to injury, and that's why I'm a little surprised they've let him do that. So, if Colorado is out, does he keep playing both ways the rest of the year?
I wonder if he'll play both ways in the NFL.
No way.
You think so?
No way.
Because everyone was talking about Cooper DeJean should have played both ways last year for Iowa, which I think
he could have easily
could have.
Easily could have.
Like wildcat quarterback. Like he would have been better than
Oh,
Deacon Hill.
yep. Yeah, but you think Kurt Farris is going to do that? That
No.
is way out of the norm for football.
Yep.
Yeah, I know it's going to be a fun week. I mean,
It's fun.
If you're an Iowa State fan, you got to love this week because we're going to have 3 basketball games on in a few days, and then playing for a spot in the Big 12 championship game.
And if any Hawk fan just gives you gripe about like the Big 12 is not very good, your soft schedule is the reason why you're just remind Iowa fans the last decade,
Right?
Where they didn't play Ohio State they played them twice in the last like 15 years.
They're still in the upper division of the Big 10. I
Yeah.
mean, they're 4-3 right now in the Big 10. I mean,
just shows you like if you just do some basic things right, it takes a lot to mess up.
yep.
If you don't have a block punt for a touchdown, if you don't muff the ball at the 10-yard line after we get a defensive stop and it was like let's go, and like I wasn't even paying attention when it
I
happened.
wasn't either. I mean, I
was like,
was actually kind of just thinking, we're just going to ride this out, and we're going to put the chokehold on them and finish the game. And then they blocked the punt, and all of a sudden now we're scrambling.
And then right before the punt, I did say this out of my mouth. I'm like, we really need a good punt here. Blocked. But
Yeah.
he's
won.
He's been a great punter though. When he gets time and he can boot the hell out of the thing.
Yeah.
And we've not had that. We've had that obviously in the past, but that was when we won 2 games.
Well, when we were in the Dome Saturday watching Humboldt play, Dubuque Waller's kicker is really good.
Yeah, I think Campbell needs to give him a call because he can kick the ball at end zone. And
Yeah, he was doing it. He was doing it with ease.
like, how much as a fan base would we like? All right, we're gonna just have this amount of money. Like how Utah is doing. Like we're gonna allocate this amount of money. It's like we need one guy kick the ball at end zone every time. It's like $5,000.
Yeah,
Some will do it.
that's his bonus.
Not me, but
That's his bonus.
But I'm saying like that it's that important. Like we could have won the freaking Big 12 championship if we just simply had a guy who can kick the ball at end zone. Because the Big 12 championship, they had the ball at the 45. Like that was the point where I'm like, kick the ball out of bounds. That's how bad it was.
They can get it to 35. Yeah.
But I'm glad we have a guy who can kick the ball out of end zone. Like Jace Gilbert is a great add to the. He's really been flexible and with his not really kind of getting beaten out with Tyler Perkins, and he's been doing short yard punts, and his kickoff off the kickoff is great when he
Well, I'll
kicks
tell you
out
what,
end zone.
I think Conrad's got a major moment ahead of him sometime because I was watching him warm up when we were playing Cincinnati, and he can get it there pretty easily from 60 yards. And he was doing it in the wind.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Well, it wasn't much of a wind, but it was still into a little bit of a breeze. And so I think he's going to have one of those moments where we're going to run him out there when we need a 55-yarder to win it at sometime in his career. And
He's a talented kid.
Yeah.
I just need to, as a fan base, like, don't tweet at him. Don't
Yeah.
tweet at his
Leave
dad.
him
Like,
alone. Yeah.
what are we doing?
yeah, I mean, let him. He hasn't been playing football very long, and he's going to do nothing but get better.
Like, your opinion of it, even if you are the expert of all experts of football, you think, even your input, he doesn't need it.
Yeah, J.J. Cole's dad, who runs Cole's Kicking, is not tweeting at Conrad's
Right.
dad. I mean,
Right.
that's the guy that understands kicking, and he is leaving him alone. So,
But I think as bad as our special teams was against Utah, like, if we told you what happened before, and he's like, we still won that game. It's like, all right, pick 6, blocked punt, muff punt at the 10-yard line after a defensive stop. We're buried at that point. But
yeah.
and their quarterback gets hurt, and right, that's crazy. We were that close of going to overtime and just absolute. As I
It's
think,
been a meltdown.
because I just think fans like you and me, you've been through more than me. They just saw yesterday, like obviously you just get so pointed on what's going on, like the situation, and like it just feels like we've been here before and we know what's going to happen. That we're just going to fall on our face and everything's going to go bad. But because like up to that point, everything has fell in our place. BYU lost, Colorado lost, and then it's like, all right, we just can't lose. And then our defense plays great, and we just shoot ourselves in the foot like 9 times in a row, and we still limping away with the victory.
Yeah, playing
With
not
Carson
to,
Hansen
playing,
throwing a touchdown.
playing
Or almost.
right, almost throwing a touchdown. Playing not to lose is a real thing.
Right.
I mean, when you're playing just to survive, you don't play as well as if you're trying to win. I mean, that may sound crazy, but it's a real thing.
But there's just so many teams that in the past that if things go bad, we just absolutely cater, and it's
Yeah.
just over.
Yeah.
But we've
Cave
had so many times. Like Jalen Noel's had
He's
up
had
and
a
down.
fantastic year.
He's had a fantastic career, but he's been around up and down years, and it's honestly great that it happened to him, not like the backup kicker or punt returner, where like the whole like Jalen Noel has a huge voice in the locker room.
Oh, sure he does.
Like he can make mistakes and like I know people will pick him up just the way he does to other people.
Yeah.
And it's just great that see him succeed, and we're gonna maybe win 10 games. We have 2 games, maybe 3 games to do it, and get that off our back.
Here's a glass half full thing. I'm glad that happened to Jalen yesterday and not next Saturday,
Like the first play,
because it's not going to happen again.
No.
I guarantee you, Jalen is not going to let that happen again. So I'm glad. Right, I'm not going to let. He's not going to let it hit his pads, and he's not going to do that again in a big game, because we survived that yesterday. So
I'm glad it happened.
I'm glad it happened yesterday and not next weekend or one of the other games.
I'm just glad it happened and we still won, because if we lost because of those little tiny little things, and when our defense played great, and Utah didn't really have to do anything on offense. Like it was almost like an Iowa game where like we just completely shoot ourselves in the foot. We should have won, but they just didn't make as much as mistakes as we did, but somehow we won because Carson Hansen. 3rd and 2, because up to that point, like the text chain was like, "What are we doing?
Yeah.
Like, what are we doing?" Just like, and then they just throw that out there, and it's like, "All right, we're geniuses."
He threw it off his back foot. If he doesn't throw off his back foot, it's a touchdown because he underthrew it.
If he would have overthrown him,
oh boy,
my gosh,
that would have been horrible. Or if he underthrows him just a little more, that one D-back was starting to catch up. That would have been bad, but he didn't. So, it was a great play.
But that goes through our minds as Iowa State fans.
Oh,
like,
sure,
we're just when things go right, we're just waiting for the bad thing to happen. Then it happens again and again and again. We're like, all right, we're screwed. Like, turn it off, put it on Star Wars. Like, it's over.
The people listening to this all can relate to us, because the people listening to us are all Iowa State fans, and they've all been there before, so they get it. If you're not an Iowa State fan, you're listening to this, it's just the way things have been with us for a long time.
Yeah,
I'm going to look at the updated forecast, see what's going on Saturday. It is, they bumped it up. The low
degrees.
Saturday is 12. It was 9 yesterday, so maybe it'll be 45 before the week's out.
The hot cocoa will be selling like hotcakes out there.
Yeah, I think if I got a text yesterday saying that, the actual really cold weather doesn't come till late at night. So, if it's in the 20s, that's much more manageable sitting in the stands than if it's single digits. So it says partly cloudy, high of 25, low of 13, 15% chance of precipitation.
Let's just say, obviously, it's not going to happen. But what if they say they change the game to the Unidome?
That ain't happening.
I know that, but how loud it'd be in there?
Yeah, but it doesn't hold very many people. I mean, compared to our stadium.
I know, but that would be kind of cool.
It would be, well, yeah. It would be kind of cool, but it's not going to happen.
I'm not in charge.
You're right. Nobody's calling you and asking you.
But that would be completely different. Like the field would be turf, and you're in a completely different environment. Now it's going to be a crazy game. And hopefully we can have a Snowmageddon part 2, because last game was probably, like I put up on YouTube, I'll just say it has like 2.5 million impressions. Like that's how many people have seen it on their TV. It was that great of a game. And hopefully we can recreate it and haven't, because beating Kansas State is so satisfying.
Isn't that the game where Eric Heff said this game is drunk?
Yeah. Yep. Classic.
That was funny.
But yeah, if you guys can get to Hilton and Jack Trice,
Yeah.
fill it up. Greatest time to be a Cyclone fan and ever. We say it all the time, but it just keeps happening.
That's the way it is. Yeah, we're playing for a spot in the Big 12 championship. We got a top 5 basketball team playing in the Maui Classic against the number 1 team in the country. I mean, this is what we've wanted for a year. So let's enjoy it.
There's not a foot of snow on the ground yet.
Get to your hunting store and buy some warm clothes and get in the stand Saturday.
Yeah.
Sneak in your fireball shots or whatever you want to take with you, because
enjoy it.
They're not going to care what you bring into the stadium Saturday. Probably that's my guess.
Right. So yeah, appreciate everyone listening, and go Cyclones.
Go Cyclones.